Hi, we will make a presentation at 28th annual ERF conference. My name is Abdullah Altun. I am a full-time assistant professor of economics at the Gebze Technical University. My primary research interest is international trade and economic growth. In my studies, I mainly focus on the macroeconomic impacts of global value chains. Uh, Understanding who really is responsible for the emission is an important research question to develop and implement fair and consistent climate policy. Examining the emission embedded in production leaves some missing points in mind in global value chains dominated global economy. Not only examining the emissions in production side, but also in consumption side is vital to find responsibilities of nations in contemporary emissions, since these emissions are calculated in general from the production activities of nations within their own borders. An exporting country generates emissions not only for domestic users, but also for final demands of other countries. Even though developed economies assert reduction of their emissions, they actually switch their production places in mainly towards developing countries by outsourcing. Therefore, the responsibility of emission does not solely belong to producers or consumers, but it should be fairly shaped by considering the whole value chain. Therefore, our main contributions to the literature are calculating greenhouse gas emissions with a large bilateral dataset covering 186 countries and 26 sectors of these countries over 1990s to 2015 by using the advanced value-added decomposition methodology and providing evidence for both backward and forward linkages. And otherwise, the deepening poverty of least developed countries, increasing inequality among developed and developing nations, and unsustainable and inconsistent outcomes of climate policies can be witnessed. Thus, we believe that such a study can contribute to access much successful policy outcomes. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. I'm one of the presenters of the session entitled as Global Value Chains and FDI. My name is Pınar. I'm one of the research assistants at the Department of Economics in Gebze Technical University in Turkey. I received my bachelor and master degree from the same department in Middle East Technical University. And then I recently finished my doctoral studies in Gebze Technical University. My main research areas interest include trade, international trade, global value chains, and trade policies. And in light of our main motivation and the contribution to the literature we want to make, as Abdullah just said, we have two-tier estimation strategy. In the first one, we mainly track and calculate the greenhouse gas emission embedded in global value chain parts of international trade by considering both backwards and forward linkages, as well as utilizing a wide range of country and sector level heterogeneities in our sample. Then we use these statistics in our network analysis, network visualization in order to understand the transaction of greenhouse gas emission embedded in international trade, so that we can track the level of responsibility of countries, as well as we can observe the problematic transaction in international markets. In second step, we investigate the main determinants of greenhouse gas emission embedded in international trade, especially forward linkages, by again looking at the sector and country level heterogeneities, as well as a special section devoted to Middle East and Middle East and North African region. And from our network visualization, we noticed that developed economies are main responsible for not only as a greenhouse gas emission producers, but also greenhouse gas emission consumers. I mean, they are outsourcers, because the production of developed countries mainly depend on the intermediates which are produced in developing economies like China. And actually, one of the interesting results is that the imports of developed countries, which nearly constitutes 67% of total world imports, are responsible approximately 68% of total greenhouse gas emission embedded in imports, whereas the export of developed economies, which constitutes nearly 66% of total exports, are responsible only 32% of greenhouse gas emission embedded in import. Again, this interesting finding clearly reveals the position of developed countries as outsourcers, actually. And when we look at the other countries, we notice that China, the USA, Japan, Germany, and Russia appear as 5 top emitters in the world. And also we get some remarkable empirical findings in our empirical analysis, and we will share these results in conference soon. Thank you for listening to me. See you in the webinar.